Welcome back, guys. Again, here with Jared.
Yeah.
It seems far too often in this town. It's the reason why I personally haven't bought a motorcycle this summer, because every day I go and look at bikes. I go home at night, I turn on the news, I look at my Facebook group, another motorcyclist dead, you know.
Right.
And
the hard part is a lot of these people are in your circle or in my circle,
Yeah.
and if not in the direct circle, in like the circle of our circles.
Yeah.
Like we tend to know the people that know the people.
yeah, like a couple degrees off,
Right.
like the Kevin Bacon.
It's not a
thing.
far down on the Kevin Bacon game. Yeah.
Exactly, and it's not that far out, you know. And
And
every
it gets
every
emotionally
day.
hard.
And you know, a lot of times it's, you know, everybody likes to, you know, people love to say, oh, it's the motorcyclist, it's this, it's that, you know. And here we have a case where, you know, and it's a rare case where they come out and they say, you know, speed was not a factor,
So,
you know.
so I want to talk about a couple of things here.
Okay.
So first of all, I trust me, because I represent so many riders. I'm very well familiar with the people dehumanizing the rider.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget
You're a rider yourself.
that there's somebody behind that helmet.
Yes.
That person had a life, that person has a family, that person has people that love them.
Yeah.
And it's all well and good to say, yes, well, then they shouldn't be riding the motorcycle or they should be riding safer. And maybe in instances that's true. You know, maybe in instances the person was riding unsafely. But it seems a very callous thing
It's ridiculous.
to simply automatically dehumanize the rider.
Yeah, and just justify a death, you know,
Right.
like it's something.
Somebody died.
Yeah, someone's dead.
Somebody's dead. But now let's talk about let's talk about speed for a second, because there are a couple of things that I think are interesting here. So specifically, we're talking about this wreck that happened a few days ago.
Yeah, it was in Henderson. Where was it, Angus? It
On
was
Racetrack
in
and-
Burkholder.
Yeah, I
yeah,
think-
Racetrack Burkholder.
Yeah.
It was late night, early morning. You know, and the bus, you know, flashing yellow, and the bus made a left turn.
Right.
You know, and the bike came into it.
Which, from reading the police report, it seems like RTC is at fault.
Yeah,
Right. They made a left-hand turn.
which is a yield,
Which, the flashing yellow means you have to yield. You
Yep.
have to yield to oncoming traffic.
and you're a bus.
And you're a bus, which there's an argument that there's a greater responsibility to commercial drivers because, you know, they're paid to be safe. Now, everybody makes mistakes, I get that, but a lot of people would put a higher duty on the commercial driver.
And I don't know what the training is on the buses, but like one thing that you notice with buses is they still have to stop at train tracks,
yes.
even if the arms aren't down,
there
to
are-
visually check left and right that there's not because of the length of the bus.
There is additional training
Yeah.
that every commercial driver has to go through. And there are expectations of employers,
Yeah.
of commercial drivers, to make sure that they're hiring good and safe commercial drivers. But regardless, even outside of that, a left-hand turn in front of oncoming traffic on a flashing yellow,
Yep.
there's a right-of-way issue, and the bus violates the rider's right-of-way. What's fascinating, first of all, let's say this is horrifying, because just like we just said, that rider is a person. That rider has a family. That rider has people that loves him or her.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a him or her, but you know, that rider matters.
And the people dealing out that they're it's not that rider they're mad at. They're mad at some bad rider, some bad reputation of the group
Right.
that flew past them on the freeway.
Exactly.
So, you know, like that's the thing. It's
Right,
because
they're
you're mad at that
displacing.
guy, this guy's life didn't matter. And that's
Right.
something like that I wish would just go away.
Right.
But yeah, so I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah.
That's a good point, because the reality is, when people are mad at motorcycles, it is because they've had like a number of bad experiences where they're on the freeway and somebody rushes by them at 100 miles an hour and it scares them.
It scares them.
And so now they can't compartmentalize that rider in that instance on that day from every other rider.
That's, yeah.
Right? So, and then they start developing confirmation bias, where they're just assuming all the motorcyclists are riding unsafely. And that's really not, I've ridden with a lot of people.
Yeah.
Most of them are riding very responsibly and safely most of the time.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that this speed was a factor, speed is not a factor. Okay, so speed being a factor, it's one of my pet peeves, that statement in the police report. And I want to start off by talking about people's perception of speed when it comes to motorcycles. we've litigated so many motorcycle cases, and it is such a common theme in the motorcycle cases that witnesses talk about the motorcycle speeding. We just had this, I had a 4-hour deposition yesterday with an expert that the other side has hired. And the eyewitnesses on the day of the wreck, you had a bunch of pedestrian eyewitnesses that told the police and wrote statements saying the motorcycle was speeding. The motorcycle came like a bat out of hell. The motorcycle was going, it was a road that was right next to the freeway. Mm-hmm. The motorcycle was going faster than the cars on the freeway. Well, when we hire engineers, and the other side hires engineers, this is a 45-mile-an-hour zone.
Yeah.
And our engineer came to the conclusion that the motorcycle is going between 30 and 40 miles an hour. The defendant's engineer came to the opinion he's going between 41 and 47 miles an hour in a 45 zone.
Yeah.
And yet we have multiple witnesses saying the motorcycle is speeding. And it's a common thing. Like we had a case a little while ago where...
Is it the sound that makes them feel that way? Or it's the red car looks faster, so it is faster theory?
Okay, so a couple of things happen. Number one, you have... people are notoriously bad at estimating speed. We rely on people to estimate speed all the time, but people are horrible at it.
Yeah.
2, the motorcycle, because it's so small, it seems like it's going faster than other vehicles. Like if you had a motorcycle by itself go, and then you have a car by itself go, most people will put the motorcycle at a higher rate than the car. Next, you have this preconceived notion that motorcyclists are going fast. It's that same confirmation bias that the brain kicks in and says that motorcycle is going fast. Next, the loudness, the volume that a lot of the bikes have, especially these, if it's a sports bike, this higher pitched volume that you get from them, people perceive that as fast. The next factor is shock and surprise, because people are not anticipating the bike, and then you put into there the emotion of like this traumatic event where there's a wreck, something bad happens, and the brain starts to interpret stuff differently. And so they add speed. And I've seen things where I can prove, I have video, I know how fast that bike was going.
Yeah.
And yet eyewitnesses are putting 20 plus miles an hour on top of it.
And they know that too. That's the hardest part.
They're not trying to lie.
Yeah, they know.
That's what their brain did, right? And they may be very honest on the stand and say, I swear under oath, that bike was going 75 miles an hour.
Oh man, this must have been horrible to try to argue before tape was, and all this without technology.
But that's why you've developed this whole field of science of accident reconstruction, where you have people who make their entire careers off of, okay, I understand what the witnesses say. Let's see what the actual physical evidence says.
Yeah.
There's always going to be an analysis of whether, what should the bike have done when it sees that the bus is cutting across. But there are so many times where it's really just too late.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he cuts in front of you at 100 yards versus you could be about to enter the intersection, he's there, If you hit the front bumper versus the rear bumper, it's especially on a bus.
So this goes back to the human factors analysis of perception response time, of how fast is the bike going. And the only reason that's important is it tells us what distance it actually needs to stop and how far it's going to travel before the evasion or the responsibility to start evading begins.
Because, when you're riding and you're on the bike and you see, like someone in the left turn lane with their flashing, you know what I mean? So it's terrifying because until you're clear, you're not clear.
Right.
They could dart at the left because it's like, does he even see me?
Right.
Does he see me here?
But because of that, essentially there are studies out there that have studied motorcycle response times.
Yeah.
They tend to be slower. Does that surprise you? The motorcycle response times tend to be slower we're talking about by 0.1, 0.2, 0.3 seconds.
I guess I could see that.
The theory behind it is that because the motorcycle has to pay attention to so many other factors.
That's what I mean, because you have your 360 vision on.
You've got to be aware over there. You've got to be aware over there. Yeah, what's the pothole? Is there something in the road? Am I going to hit a rock? There are so many things that they have to pay attention to.
It's like the RoboCop monitor,
that the drivers don't.
That
well, everybody makes this assumption that motorcycles can stop faster, that motorcycles are more agile, they can respond faster, and that the machine responds faster, and that the human responds faster. It's just statistically not true. Statistically, the human is going to respond a tiny bit slower because he has so much more to worry about, and motorcycles do not stop faster. They just don't, because while you can say that a top-performing bike, like a racetrack bike, can stop at maybe even greater than 1G with a proper rider, that is a skilled rider in a controlled setting. But once you're on the street, what we find, and what this is routine through accident reconstructionists will tend to put a car at a 0.75 G deceleration rate on heavy braking. And they will put the bike at 0.4 G's deceleration with heavy rear braking. They tend not to even put front and rear braking on, because there's so many times when the bike has to make a sudden stop. Like their hard front rear braking, especially with the standard unconnected brakes. Like modern Harleys will have front and rear braking connected, but on an older bike, what happens so many times is if you really have to have hard braking like that, the bike is going down. Like the bike is going to crash if it has to slam on the front and rear brake, because if you're doing that and you're not positioned perfectly, you don't handle it perfectly, and in a stressful situation, so many people don't, then it's going to crash. So from an accident reconstruction standpoint, it is common for accident reconstructionists to recognize that bikes are going to they're going to decelerate slower, they're going to take a longer distance to stop. And so, it's just one of those things where people have this misconception about what a bike is actually doing and what it can do.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it's good to know all that. Like, it really is. And it's good, like I said, people should really take this content in and really I hope they just take it with them and just absorb it. And like I said, next time it's weird, like have your opinion. I don't know, maybe you don't need to be so public about it. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things like...
Please, when you are making a public statement about somebody who has died, whether it's a biker, think the family's going to see this.
That's what I mean.
And I'm sorry, if what you say is, I don't care, you're an asshole.
It's I don't care is the lightweight of it. Saying they deserved it, like that says so much more about you than it does anything else.
And when I say I don't care, I mean I don't care what the family says.
That's what I mean.
I mean, maybe that there's so many deaths around us that you can't. I mean, it's physically. People are not capable of caring about every death. There are too many out there. You'd spend your life just in sorrow because there's a death every second. But what I'm talking about is somebody making the choice to go online and say that somebody deserved death just because they're on a motorcycle.
It's wild.
Knowing, or they should know, that family and the friends, those people are compelled to go and see what is online about their loved one.
I know, it's crazy, right?
And so they're going to find it, and they're going to see that somebody said that their son deserved to die.
Because some dude on a street bike cut him off 3 years ago. Now I'm glad you died because that's the article I happened to catch.
I know we feel like we're anonymous online, although on Facebook we're really not. But we should be considerate about what we're putting out there.
We've had a lot of messages where people have, when it's death, we get, because we cover it all. And we have it fast. A lot of times people find out because of us. It's proven. We've done it time after time. And a lot of times we've seen people go through the stages of grief by just how they message us. Oh, take it down. Oh, this, that. Then they'll go, oh, well, your group versus the other groups this was posted in. You guys took a lot of the comments down. You turned them off or whatever. You know what I mean? So we've gotten through it. Like, I've watched people grieve openly by the way they message me when their loved ones died, and it's been on the page, with they're mad it's there. And you just step back and let it just unfold. And, they don't have to ever come back and apologize. I'm not saying that, but a lot of them have come back and been like, you know what? We're sorry. Thank you for everything. And it's tough because, again, and that's just proof that they're seeing this because they're looking for answers, because the government officials, not that they're moving slow intentionally, but they can't. There's a process they have to go through,
Right.
and the internet moves faster than the government.
It's going to be 2 weeks before that initial comes out. It's going to be 6 months to a year before the final comes out.
Or even
it's hard for the family.
Even for the family, like if you're just at home and it's 9 o'clock at night,
and you get the phone
and you
call.
expected someone at 5, and you get the phone call, but you hear about it on Facebook, and it's what color's the bike? Oh my God, he rides a red bike. What kind of bike? And then all the other people are answering questions, and then there's those other people. Good job, good. I'm glad he said he just, like that's when it happens. It's when they're looking for answers in that critical window of time before the coroner's not reaching out right away. And like I said, we're real time.
Right.
So there's so many, like even 1 hour or 2 hours, so much happens in that, because after the fact it fizzles off, like you said. So it's right away. And that's when it happens. And that's when, like when we are like shutting comments down and,
right. And because it may take hours for the news to start covering it.
Correct.
And yet it's up in minutes on your site.
And then people see it and they know to come and they want to comment. And so many people get thrown out of the group because it's like, you didn't need to say that.
Right.
Oh, I have the freedom of speech.
You sure do.
Yeah,
you can say anything you want. You just can't say it here.
We're not locking you up for it.
Yeah.
No one's, we're not going to put you in Guantanamo Bay, but you're not welcome here. And this is a private group. And go somewhere else. Take your comments somewhere else. But I know we're running the clock down. But it's good to know, and it's good to hear all that stuff, because again, it's just educating people that need to be educated. They really do. They really need to say like, okay, this is what's going on. This is really it. And this is again someone's loved one that didn't make it home. We cover a lot of bike stuff because it's a lot of bike stuff to cover. And we're always just appreciative that you're able to sit down and talk with us and cover it and bring out the details.
When it comes to certain things I have true passion about.
Yeah.
And when it comes to riders and rider safety and rider injury, my friends ride, I ride, my wife rides.
Yeah.
We have real passion about this.
Yeah.
And so, I'm always happy to talk about that.
Well, we appreciate it, Jared. Thank you for your time. Glad to have you.
Absolutely.